So you want to get nuts? Well, let's announce a movie in 2014 and say we can set its release date around like 2018. Let's just say that's the situation we're dealing with. So between 2014 2018, we're planning to release a movie that for whatever reason just went through a bunch of reshoots and problems and issues, and then a pandemic happened, so we had to keep pushing it back further and further, and then honestly all the other movies that we keep releasing other than that one really just make our universe look stupider and stupider and makes it look like we don't really have any direction for this thing, except for the random little projects that James Gunn has decided to put out, such as the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, to kind of give, fans hope that DC can get it together, but at the same time, we really just know that they're just putting out these projects to blind us from the rest of the crap that they want to release. And now they still want to continuously push back the Flash movie, although their star has become completely off the rails at this point. He's, kidnapping kids. Apparently he has his mother held captive at a weed farm of one of his, and honestly, just amongst a list of other crazy stuff that he's done. Beyond that, we just decided to continuously push this movie back and just add the craziest effects, and you had all the time in the world to get this thing ready. You even had your new head of directors, James Gunn, come out and talk about how this was the best movie he's ever seen, or one of the best movies he's ever seen, whatever. It was on literally the same, planet as that sentence. Then you had Tom Cruise, of all people, a guy who I really love dearly. You got reports coming out saying that Tom Cruise is trying to call the director, Andy Muschietti, specifically, just so he can tell him how much he loved The Flash and told him how much that movie's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Putting all this press out there to get us hype for one of the most vastly mediocre films of the year, as far as a superhero movie goes. Now, was it entertaining? Yeah. But, well, it was entertaining to an extent, but was it mediocre? Oh, yeah. So, you want to get nuts? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get nuts. This is The Flash. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for The Flash, starring Ezra Miller, Michael Shannon, Ben Affleck, Kiersey Clemens, and was directed by Andy Muschietti. And our story follows Barry Allen, who is tormented by the traumatic events that happened in his past, of his mother's passing and his dad being jailed his whole life. The trial is coming up, so that is bringing up past feelings about that traumatic experience that Barry had, and it's looking like he's not going to be able to get his dad out. So what Barry does is he tries to go into the past, rewrites history, and ends up screwing everything up. Ends up meeting a version of himself in a life where his mom and dad are alive, but General Zod is alive as well. We have a different version of Superman, Supergirl. We have Kara Zor-El in this movie, and everything's just going to complete shit. And I mean that literally and figuratively. But look, let me not try to trash on this movie too hard, or at least for right now. Now look, I'm going to start out by saying this. This is not a bad superhero movie whatsoever. This is not something that I can completely just trash on for hours and hours and hours. There were entertaining moments in this film. There were very cool moments put in this film throughout the entire movie itself. But as a whole, it's just a complete mess. So that being said, I'm going to get into what I liked and what I didn't like about the movie. Okay, so what I liked about the movie, I'm going to start with not Ezra Miller, because I'm not saying I didn't like Ezra Miller. He did a very good job. I did enjoy his character. I did enjoy his portrayal of Barry Allen, but I will talk about that because I'm kind of back and forth between his. There is something I didn't like about the performance, but there's a lot of stuff to like about his performance as well. But what I undoubtedly liked about the movie, where I don't have to go back and forth and be convoluted about this, is Michael Keaton's Batman and Sasha Cale's Supergirl. They were absolutely fantastic. Michael Keaton's Batman, I'm going to start with him. One, I did not think that, when I was watching the trailers for this movie, I did not think that, we needed a Michael Keaton return to Batman in 2023. I really thought that was kind of weird. I didn't know what that was going to be like. But I will say this, Andy Muschietti actually does Batman justice in this film. And that's so funny to say because the movie is not called Batman, it's called The Flash, and he doesn't do The Flash justice, but we'll get to that in a second. But Andy Muschietti definitely does Batman justice because Michael Keaton kicks ass. He's a very good character. He's a very good kind of mentor for Barry. You know, he's never met this version of Bruce Wayne, and he steps in and does everything that Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne would do, but in his Michael Keaton ways, it works. And like I said, the action scenes for Batman are fantastic. There's this one fight sequence where he's fighting like a giant space guy. It's fucking amazing. It's really good. Like, the Batman stuff was awesome. Sasha Cale as Supergirl, I enjoyed her a ton. I don't know why I said amongst, but I enjoyed her a huge amount. I really thought her character, in the grand scheme of things, of like everything going on in this film, and I'm not going to spoil anything at all. I'm going to do my best to keep this spoiler free, but trust me, this is a spoiler free review. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like her character was wasted because she was only kind of used for a certain purpose. I can't say what that purpose is, but when Sasha Cale was doing her Supergirl things, I enjoyed watching her character. She was a very good addition to the film. She made it thoroughly entertaining. I enjoyed her fight scenes. I hope she can return to this character again because she really did a good job, and I'm hoping we can have her back, but I don't really know at this point. Anything is possible with the DC universe, and that's truly the case, especially with this ending. But those are the two things about this film that I really liked. Now, everything else, I'm just going to be, going back and forth about things that I liked and I didn't like, because this movie, like I said, it has a lot of cool moments, but as far as a cohesive story and just being consistent, as far as like being consistently entertaining, being consistently, the same tone wise, just being consistent in its efforts to keep you thoroughly entertained or just, engaged in the film at all. Like, the movie doesn't really do a good job at keeping you engaged the entire time, in my opinion. It's kind of sporadic moments where some stuff, for me at least, was more interesting than others, but I'm going to try to, make that all make sense. But to start with Ezra Miller's performance, I will say this. I thought Ezra Miller, regardless of the case, I'm completely separating the actor from his regular person persona right now. Like, the actor himself, and I'm just going to be judging the actor Ezra Miller and his performance as Barry Allen / The Flash. His Barry Allen performance was very good. I will say that. He captures the human side of Barry Allen very well. I will say this. He definitely does a great job as far as playing both of the Barry Allens, especially the younger version of himself. And I really like what they do with those characters there, because these are two Barrys that have lived two completely different lives. This is one Barry, the main Barry that we're following, the one who's lost his mom very early, and he's dealing with those tragedies from his past and things like that. And the young Barry Allen that we meet, that Ezra Miller also portrays, he's somebody who's had his mom the entire life. So it was cool to see two completely different perspectives from Barry just talking to each other and, figuring out their lives and stuff like that. And, this younger Barry's watching the older Barry kind of introduce him into what his world is going to become or what it is and stuff like that. And he's trying to hide stuff from him and things like that. Like I said, there are interesting concepts in this movie for sure. They just never follow through on any of them. It's a real problem. I'm not going to lie to you, but like I said, Ezra Miller's performance as Barry Allen was really good. His performance as the Flash, and this is not 100% his fault. It's actually, I'm not sure if this is, it's not really a majority of his fault. I think it's the way Andy Muschietti just had him displayed in this film, or the way his powers were displayed in this film. I was not a big fan of the way we were doing the Flash's powers in this film, if I'm being completely honest. Now, a lot of people are going to think that means that I'm complaining about the CGI and stuff like that. I don't really have a problem with the CGI or how stuff looked in the film. I mean, yes, it is a mess for some parts, but truthfully, it didn't bother me that much. What really bothered me about the CGI is what they did with it, the stuff that they decided to create and put into this movie, but I'll get to that a little later. Like I said, his portrayal as the Flash, Ezra Miller's portrayal as the Flash, truthfully just didn't resonate with me. Like, what I wanted to walk out of this movie, what I was hoping that the Flash did for me, because I'll be completely honest with you, like, I've been done with this movie a long time ago. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, Like they just kept pushing it back. It just got to the point where DC clearly just didn't have a direction. They didn't know where to go with anything. They're continuously telling us that The Flash is going to be the movie that sets everything into place, puts everything, like restarts everything, kind of starts to give us a direction of stuff. And so I was really going into this movie hoping that, one, I was completely proven wrong about all my doubts that I had about this movie. I hope that Ezra Miller proved that he's a fantastic Flash and that he deserves the part, regardless of, his crazy antics outside of, the set. But I was hoping that, I was able to walk into The Flash and walk out and be completely okay with where DC was going at this point. I'm still hopeful because James Gunn is running it, but I cannot say this movie added to that hope at all. I'm still only hopeful because of James Gunn. This movie did not help me whatsoever, truthfully. Like I said, so Ezra Miller's performance as the Flash, it just, for me, it didn't necessarily resonate. Like I really wanted to walk out of this film saying, okay, I can see why they were pushing so hard for this kid. I can understand why they won't replace him with anybody. They won't try to do anything else with the character. I could see why. I didn't see why. Now, like I said, the human aspect of Barry Allen and the emotional parts of the film are very good, and those are the strongest parts of the film, in my opinion. Everything that has to deal with Barry's mom, dealing with the emotion, even dealing with the younger Barry, finding out about stuff about his life and things like that. Ezra Miller portrays all that very well as far as the human capabilities and the emotional aspects of the film. But when it comes to being the hero, putting the mask on and being the Flash, I personally felt like somebody, like I'm not saying he did like a terrible job, but I could see somebody else doing this, and preferably I'd rather see somebody else doing this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd rather see somebody else playing the Flash. Ezra Miller, you're cool. You did a good job, but I'm good with seeing somebody else, if I'm being completely honest. I would like to see somebody else play the Flash. I would just like for them to scrap everything that they did here, because this thing is just all over the place. And honestly, if you haven't guessed it, now I'm just going to get into the stuff that I didn't like about this movie. One thing... Oh, I was getting into the speedster effects, and I completely just missed that. So, one thing that I feel like we've completely just been spoiled with as far as like comic book fans or just movie fans in general. The speedster scenes from X-Men, Days of Future Past, even Apocalypse with Quicksilver, those I feel like just completely spoiled me as far as what a speedster sequence should look like, because it's just like the music choices here in The Flash didn't really work for me. I couldn't really get with all the extra visual effects. I understand that we're supposed to be seeing things from Barry's point of view in the Speed Force, and we're supposed to be looking at everything as far as like slow-mo from his perspective, and he's the Flash, so everything slows up for him. I'll say this, Andy Muschietti is very creative in his approach to make Barry's powers kind of pop off screen, but it's just anytime Barry's displaying his powers, I'm kind of just like, I'm not wowed. I'm not like, it's not jaw-dropping, eye-popping. It's not like mesmerizing or anything like that. It's just me watching stuff happen in slow motion. It's not necessarily like really bad. It's just not, it's just not anything to really go crazy over. I won't say, because it is good. Like, the special effects are okay. Like, they're cool. They're just not anything to go crazy over. Like, I really feel like Barry's powers could be displayed in a much cooler way, or they could have replaced it with much cooler music choices, or a better score for that matter. I personally would have, I just needed something to, energize me while Barry's, doing his thing, running, doing stuff in slow motion. I'll say this. The best sequence that we got from this film, as far as Barry's powers go, is when future Barry, or it was when, the main Barry that we're following and the younger Barry, when they're battling on the field with Zod and all his soldiers and stuff like that, and they do the little heel tap and they, go from there. That is definitely one of the coolest sequences in the film, for sure. That I enjoyed that a lot. But other than that, his power, I feel like X-Men Days of Future Past completely spoiled me as far as Quicksilver's powers, or as far as speedster powers go, because this just wasn't, for whatever reason, it's just not a cool way to display Barry's powers. I feel like we can do a lot better. That's just a little gripe that I have. Like I said, as far as the CGI goes, now there's stuff in here that people are going to pick apart and literally destroy. There's a lot to do with that, and honestly, a lot of it probably involves babies, but there's so much more that I have a problem with as far as the CGI goes. Like I said, I did not have a problem with what the stuff looked like, but I did have a problem with what they used the CGI for. And for people who have seen the movie, I'm referring to the cameos. I'm referring to just all the stuff like all the Easter eggs, like literally all the stuff that they try, even in the Speed Force itself. And the Speed Force literally looks like Barry's running on a treadmill at a Marriott gym. Like I can obviously tell like what that is, but clearly they don't care. But literally when the Speed Force is being shown and Barry's running through time and stuff like that, that stuff looks horrendous. It does look horrendous, but it's just like y'all could have used this CGI for something else. And there are specific cameos in general dealing with specific heroes that I cannot, say. But if you've seen it on Twitter, those cameos really pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie to you, because like I said, Andy Muschietti did Batman justice. He did Sasha Cale justice for the most part, because like I said, her character was wasted. There were other characters wasted as well. I'll get to them in a second. But Andy Muschietti really did all these other people justice and didn't do the Flash any justice whatsoever. I'm going to be really real with you. Like, I didn't think Andy Muschietti really did the character of the Flash. He did Barry Allen justice as far as the story goes, and trying to, really resonate with the character of him, because this is really something that Barry's dealing with. And on top of that, the reason, and my friends and I were even in an argument earlier today about like the performance of Barry and stuff like that, and I was telling them how he didn't really capture the hero essence of the Flash, and maybe that is more on Muschietti than Ezra Miller. That's not Ezra Miller's fault. He can only do what he's given in the script, and this is a more humanized look at Barry Allen and who he is, and he just happens to be the Flash. But truly, this movie did not focus on the Flash as much as I wanted it to. And it honestly, like I said, I can't get into crazy spoilers, but the whole reasoning behind his mom dying, there's literally a movie that just came out, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, that talks about pivotal canon events that happen in superheroes' lives that need to happen in order for them to become who they become. And there is a pivotal canon moment in this film here that is messed with and takes a pivotal villain away from the Flash, and they don't even mention him really. I can't get into crazy spoilers, but I mean, he's not in the film, but they change up the way, or they change the reasoning, or like the pivotal moment, or like what really makes the difference between, Barry's mom dying and living. It's really a very small detail, something that's not, and it should be a lot bigger than this, but it's a very small detail in the film that keeps her from living and dying. And personally, that just changes everything about, maybe not changes everything, but it really just sends it in a direction where I'm like, y'all really just not doing this character any justice whatsoever. I don't even understand why this guy needed to be here. Oh, speaking of justice, Ben Affleck's Batman. I'm going to say this. Michael Keaton did amazing. I was not the biggest fan of Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is amazing. Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne is really good. But his Batman portrayal in this movie was kind of just half-assed. I think this being his last, his last scene performance or whatever it's called, this last performance of his as Batman, I'm sure he just was phoning it in, just trying to do the performance, get it out the way and things like that, which I can definitely tell. But it's like his Bruce Wayne, I feel like he was just so much more that character than Batman. I didn't enjoy that Batman at all. There are other Justice League cameos and stuff like that in the film. Do they need to be there? Not necessarily, but like I said, this movie spends a lot of time just introducing you to cool concepts and does away with them. And I'm about to get into another one of those right now, as far as the villains go in this film. Now, if you were to watch the trailer and come back to me, and tell me who you think the villain's going to be in this movie, you would say General Zod, right? Wrong. He is a villain in this movie. Is he the villain? No. Is he the main villain? No. Is he a side villain? Sure. He's not the Flash's villain. He's literally just there to be there, because General Zod is there because Kara Zor-El is here. That's why we have Zod. Michael Shannon literally came out with a quote like maybe like a few weeks ago, talking about bringing back characters and multiverses and things like that, and he felt like, and he was saying that he felt like General Zod's characterization in Man of Steel is kind of being, you know, taken away because he's appearing again in this film. And it's like, I'm like, that's not normally what somebody would say, but after watching this film, I understand why he said that, because Zod was completely wasted. He wasn't really used in the film at all to do anything but something over and over and over, and it just didn't bring anything new to it. Didn't bring anything to the film that really felt like I needed that. Like, I needed it to be there. It didn't bring anything to the film that felt like, that made me feel like it needed to be there. And on top of that, the actual villain in this film, which is not a surprise, or it's not a spoiler, it's Dark Flash. He's not even used that much in the film at all either. Now, I will say this. While the Dark Flash's points and purpose are made in the film of why he's there, like, we know why, of course, there's just not a lot of interaction between Dark Flash and Flash. Enough for me. Like for this movie to be called The Flash, there's just not a lot of interaction between Flash and these pivotal characters and canon moments for me. It's really just it's really The Flash featuring DC's conglomerate of whatever cameos and best actresses that we can put in this film to make you entertained and give you fan service. That's really what this movie should have been called. That's a much longer title, so I know why they went with The Flash. But this is really The Flash featuring DC's conglomerates of that, all those other words I just said. But so that's really where I kind of just, it kind of just, it just didn't stick with me. It like, I really wanted to enjoy this film. I really did, but it's like, it just felt like Andy Muschietti really was all over the place with this one. Like, they really had no direction whatsoever. And speaking of direction, the ending of this film truly just sends you in a complete circle, and as far, not even a full circle, just like spins you around and just tells you, yeah, we still have no direction for this, so this is what you're gonna get. Like, the ending to this film was very disappointing. The end credit scene was even more disappointing. It really makes me upset because they really could have just done away with a lot of the dumb extra cameo fan service stuff in this film, and if they really would have used that to focus on the Flash and focus on that character and probably put more of Dark Flash in there and made the fight between Dark Flash and Flash more than 20 seconds, if they would have made, like, they would have actually focused on that, this would have been a much better movie for sure. Now, is it an entertaining movie? It can be. It has entertaining moments. It has fun parts to it. But as a whole, it's a mess. It's really a reflection of a lot of the DC Universe movies. It's not really anything out of this world. It doesn't really stand out. It's definitely not better than Guardians. It's damn sure not better than Spider-Man, but I didn't even expect it to be. I didn't walk in expecting for it to be better than those movies. It is better than Quantumania. Quantumania is just probably going to be the lowest of the lows as far as superhero movies go this year. But look, I wanted to love The Flash. I did. Let me see if I have any other problems with, what was going. Oh, actually, there were other. Yes, as far as other characters that I felt like were wasted, Iris. Kiersey Clemons is Iris. Iris West. I wanted more of Barry and Iris. I really enjoyed anytime those two were on screen together. I really enjoyed Kiersey Clemons' portrayal of Iris West. I just wish I would have had more of it. Didn't get enough of it. Like I said, Ezra Miller does a really good job as Barry Allen. Does he sell me as him being the Flash and being able to blackmail DC into not firing him? No, I have not been convinced as to why he's still the Flash. I think the character should just be replaced and we should just go in a new direction, because this one didn't do it for me. You didn't sell me on this. I need DC to get it together still. However, this is not a bad film whatsoever. I know I shitted on it a lot. I had a lot of bad things to say, but there are still redeeming good things about this film too. Are there a lot? Not necessarily, but there are there are a number of things that you can probably take from this movie and really enjoy. Like I said, Michael Keaton Batman, you're going to enjoy everything about him. Sasha Cale, you're going to enjoy everything about her. I'm on the side of where I didn't really enjoy the superhero portrayal of Ezra Miller's Flash, but I really enjoyed his human side of Barry Allen. But other people will probably have an issue with that. They'll want to debate me on that. But I mean, as far as everything else goes, this is just really a clusterfuck of fan service. Like, it's just really... And the thing that really pisses me off, even the end credit scene has nothing to do with setting us up for what's next for DC. Like, don't... My thing is this. I'm just upset with this movie because for years they've just been telling us that this is the one, this is their project that they've planned on, you know, really revolutionizing DC and putting it in, like, and really turning around everything for them and truly just, you know, making DC great again, if it once ever was, which it hasn't been consistently, but I truly enjoy James Gunn's projects. The Suicide Squad, Peacemaker. I still have a lot of hope for James Gunn's Superman Legacy. I actually have a ton of hope. I have huge expectations for Superman Legacy. I think that's going to be one of the best Superman movies ever made, truly. I think James Gunn is going to kill it. Andy Muschietti, however, y'all didn't sell me on this. I'm good on Ezra Miller as the Flash. He did a good job, but I'm more than happy to see somebody else play the role. I'm good. Don't need to see anything else. I'm fine with that. And for all those reasons and so many more, guys, I'm going to give The Flash a 2.75 out of 5 stars. All right, so The Flash, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, guys, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Comment down below your thoughts on The Flash, your thoughts on the future of DC. Tell me, like, we can get into spoilers into the comment section. Let me know down below what you guys thought of those stupid cameos and just, you know, anything else that happened in the movie. But, guys, I really do appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.